Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today's video is one of those one rack at a time, one shelf at a time sort of videos. The difference is normally when I do that I'm watering. So like in between looking at each plant there's a watering bit before I pick the next one up. I want to get up in this corner because I keep missing this one out. Because it's the hardest to get to. I have to move the cymbidiums out of the way and my rubbish bag and things. So I thought we'd just do that. Now it'll be quicker than normal on the grounds that there isn't any watering to do. I'm just going to pick each plant up, we'll have a quick look at it, chat about it, how it's doing, put it there out the way, next one. So that's the process. And it's a mixed bag on this shelf, mixed in types of orchids and mixed in how well they're doing. In some cases not very well at all. And it's actually two shelves. It's the top shelf and what's underneath as well. We'll do the whole corner. So right, let's get going then. Now this first one is a relatively recent acquisition. It's a plant I saw, hang on, that's a bit high up. Let's come down a bit, otherwise I'll be reaching for the sky. And it's not a Western. I saw the plant in flower at the NEC in Birmingham, so that's middle of the year, and I wanted one, and the stall it was on sale, it was in their display, so they couldn't sell it, but I said, well, have you got any more? No, but we're getting some in, so I just sort of basically put an order in. When you get one in, I'll have one. And it arrived, and as is often the case, it was two plants in the pot. So my normal way now is to actually separate plants out so that they can go in a small cosy pot. So this is Sabine Mayer. Well, you can read it for yourself, can't you? And this was the better of the two. The roots, the older roots, are branching significantly, making for a much better root system, and obviously there's quite a few roots that have come out of the top, some of which have got down in the pot, some have decided to go over the edge, but there's some reasonable root growth, and the latest bulb is the same size as the ones behind it. So I'd say it's doing okay. It's not going to bloom on this latest growth. I suspect it will on the next one. So I'm pleased with that. That's doing okay. And the next one is the other one that was in the same pot. And this one's not doing as well. It's not getting going as fast. It hasn't got anywhere near as many roots. So the older roots in the pot are sort of negligible. It has produced a single new root off of the latest growth, and that's it. It hasn't produced a new root system on this bulb. The plant size is roughly the same as the previous one, but it's not doing as well. I mean, the leaves are good on it, the bulbs aren't shriveled or anything, but it just hasn't got a good root system. Well, yet. Maybe it will have. So, and that's the one that goes with that. They're a pair. And next we get onto a plant I've had a very long time, and it will not grow. And this is you're not going to be able to read that, are you? Let's see if I can remember what it's actually going to say. It's an epidendrum, and it's Comet Valley Orange Star. Not that we've seen any orange on it for a very long time. Most of it is dead. There were several canes planted up. Several of the others died and got pulled out. This one's dead. There's no life on it. But if I pull this one out, it'll disturb the base. Now what's left is a cane with two leaves on the top, a cane with some leaves but no growing tip, and a keiki that is actually growing, that has produced a couple of roots that have sort of gone down in the pot. It's not doing well. It's got virtually no roots. There is a new root has managed to get down into the pot there, and that's it. and it just won't get going. And I think, I'm relatively certain why, is that one had a bad scale infestation for a while. Couldn't, you know, it was in the days of soapy washes and stuff, and not dealing with them perhaps as well as I should have done. And those Bois Duval scale have got toxins in their mouth parts that affect some plants badly, and they actually inhibit growth completely. And I've had several affected like that, and others, you know, when you've got rid of the scale, they recover and get going, but not all. I think that's one that's just long-term sufferer. It just won't get going. They are also warm growers, and it's not warm in here, so that don't help. Right, next one is another one I've had a very long time, and again, this is a cooler grower. It's a hybrid, but what's in it would be cooler growers. And this one won't get going either. Very reluctant to grow well. Those mealybugs won't help much, if that's what they were. Right, this is two plants in the pot. It's an Oncidium, it's Tahitian Dancer. I think it's part Sotoanum. Two plants. The older parts of the plant are dying quite badly. Shriveled pseudobulbs, and they need coming off. But this particular plant has got a single new growth that's attached to those bulbs. If I take those bulbs off, that leaves nothing. Just a single new growth with no bulbs to support it, and it hasn't grown any roots. The other side of the plant does have one shriveled bulb supporting two new growths that again are not growing well and haven't produced any new roots. This, I believe, doesn't have much of a future, which is a shame because the blooms are quite nice. I've had it a very long time. Again, that had scale. That one used to live on the dining room table round the old place, and flipping flies in here lately. I suppose they've come in out of the cold. I don't know how they're getting in here, I must admit. The door's never opened long enough to get a surge of flies through it, and they'd have to be right there to even attempt to do that. Right, now this one has got a label that has completely faded. But I know what it is because I can read bits of the words. The label says Cambria, and it hasn't got a name, it's a hybrid. But what it does say is that the blooms are deep purple. So I know which plant this actually is. You know, I've got a picture of the blooms somewhere. It's not growing well, it hasn't got good roots, but it is growing. It's got some shriveled back bulbs. So I do believe this is scale on here, you know. It flipping well is. I'll put that one to one side and get the spray on that. They're down in the sheaths, as is often the case, on the older bulbs, not on the new ones. But anyway, I mean, this was a new growth that looked like it was going to do well. It is in fact a single bulb. I think it was just stuck in the pot to see if it will push out a new growth. This is pieces of a plant. So we've got a piece here with a single back bulb and no roots, and then the rest is all attached to this bit. And that was the latest new growth. The bulb is too small, so it's not doing well, and it does have another new growth starting on this one. So this is not a happy plant, but the scale aren't helping. Just having a look down some of these sheaths. No, I think the scale, oh, there's another new growth coming up there as well, just tucked in there. Oh, that was the one we were looking at. Yeah, I just need to get some spray on these older bulbs. I'll do that before I put it back. So not doing that well, but it's worth hanging on to and persevering because the blooms are nice. It's an odont type bloom. Right. This is a Brassica. Where's the label gone on that then? But basically this is Vericosa Sea Breeze, one of Burnham's registered hybrids. It's got a lovely root system on it. The latest bulb isn't as big as the previous ones. It was disturbed, you know, at the time when it would have done well. I'm awaiting another new growth. It's got an absolute pot full of roots. So I'm awaiting a new growth on this one. It's not going to bloom on this latest growth. It would have done it by now, so that's not going to happen. So we need another new growth on here to see how it does. The older bulbs are not shriveled. They're okay. They're ridged. That's not shriveled. And the new growth is undersized, and I think that was due to it being disturbed, as in being divided up, quite a few bits thrown away because they were starting to rot, and this good bit rescued. So it's doing okay, but not as well as it could be. It's that one. Yeah, what's this thing up to? It's another one that was bought in bloom because I liked the blooms, but the plant wasn't very good and I took the risk. Can I rescue it? And it's a Cambria, and it's Rem Burkhard Holm, and the plant was these two shriveled bulbs, one of which is about to lose its leaves. That's natural, no panic there. It's the oldest bulb, but those two are very shriveled, not very good roots at the time, but it has, or is pushing up a new growth that is growing roots. So this is recovering, and this is a nice bright sturdy green, but it hasn't got a full-size bulb by any means, and it might not get a full-size growth this time round, but it is establishing a root system, so in future it's capable of growing on. So I think that could be classed as rescued. It's okay. Looking at the new growth, it's okay. Right, this was one that was not doing well, and I put it in my Let's Recover the Roots mix and made it worse. And now it won't dry out, so the roots are not working. It looks like it's a strong, healthy plant because of all the new growths it's got. But the new growths aren't producing any roots. They're just tagged on to the plant. The last spike it put up aborted. So it's not a happy plant by any means. It's actually got a name. It's Oncidium barocco. It's classed as a cool grower, so, but it's not happy. It won't grow roots. Just doesn't seem to want to grow roots. I'm not sure what else to do with it. It's just not growing very well. Not happy. Keeps pushing up new growths, but they don't mature. And it occasionally attempts to bloom and fails. So it just won't get going. It just won't sort of pick up. And I still think this is a bit high. I'm sorry if the plants are off the bottom of the screen. I'm looking at the plant rather than at what's on the screen. Right, now we've got the plant that is actually doing okay. This is just a unnamed hybrid, Brassia hybrid. It's got new growths coming out of its ear holes, and they are strong new growths. There are roots growing in the pot. I mean, the number of new growths on here is ridiculous. If we start from that good one, 1, 2, 3, 4 with a spike and a mealybug. Forgotten where I got to. Another one, another one, another one. Back to where we started, and there's at least one in the middle of the plant. So it's got a lot of new growth. They are producing roots. It's quite a strong plant, and we do have a spike coming. Now, although this is excuse me, a Brassia hybrid, it doesn't have what I call true Brassia blooms. The spidery nonsense, as I refer to them, have got very small lips, very small centre to the plant, and the petals and sepals are very narrow and very long, giving it its spidery look. Now the petals and sepals on this Brassica hybrid are about half the length of what I'd like to see on a Brassica bloom, and twice as wide. So it is Brassica-like, but not like a true Brassica species. But nonetheless, it's growing well. I suspect there will be more than that one spike. The spike's got it's got 3 or 4 bugs on it. So the plant's certainly doing okay. That one's fine. Right, so what else have we got over here then? We've got my bright red cattleya that is not growing very well at all. It's got too many old bulbs on it. And it doesn't grow well. It's another one that had the scale really bad, and they keep reappearing, you know, at times. If you have a look at the base of that pseudo bulb there, it's covered in them. I suspect, yeah, they're dead. They're just falling off. So it's where it's already been sprayed. They've died, but they haven't fallen off, which is the problem with them. We've got some leafless pseudo bulbs on it. This was the latest lead this side, that did bloom. It's got a new growth coming up here, and the other new growth is in the middle of the plant here, and it's grossly undersized. It's not gonna get to blooming size. This one may actually get up to blooming size, but it won't grow new roots. This was never a good rooter. It's never grown good roots. I've had it a long time. It's never had a good root system. It just sort of puts up with what it's got and puts up a few new ones now and again, but not very good. This new growth here has got one tiny new root coming on it. Right, you won't be able to see it, it's on the end of my finger, it's tiny. So it is attempting to put some new roots out, or a new root, but it won't do very well. It never has done. That's that one. And that's got a name about 8 foot long, and the tag has completely faded. It's something or other red pearl, red dragonfly, or something like that. That's that one. Only a couple left now on the top shelf. We've still got the bottom shelf to do. There's 5 down there. Now this one is Catatanti. And for those of you who've been following the channel, I've got 2. I did have a huge plant that I split into 3. One went to Helen, my friend Helen. I don't know how hers is doing. And mine got split into 2. And as long as I've had this plant, it's never bloomed. So I thought, as an experiment this year, I'll put one in bright light, literally up in my brightest area, which would get that filtered sun through the roof, and the other one in a more shaded department. Well, this one didn't like the bright light. It could be a nutrient issue as well, because these don't look like burnt leaves. They look like leaves that have had the nutrients withdrawn from the tips, because it's only on the tips. It's brown tips. That's normally a sign of a nutrient deficiency. But in case it's anything more serious, best thing to do when you see discoloration on leaves is get rid of it. And then if it's something that can spread, you may well have stopped it. You might not. There's a whole leaf gone there. But it's worth a try, because it's unsightly, makes the plant look awful. So sometimes it's worth just bite the bullet and just take these manky bits off. But as a plant, this one's nowhere near as good as the other one, but neither of them have bloomed. So if the blooming was geared up to bright light, I think I've disproved that, because this has been in bright light and it's still not bloomed. That'll do for you all day. Every leaf will have the end chopped off. Yeah. Right, but as a plant, it's grown new growths. We've got new growths, big one coming up in the middle of the plant, another one round here, another one here. These are good new growths. These are all blooming size, strong new growths. What they won't do is bloom. As soon as we get to a point where I can see active new roots growing, I mean this growth here has got some new roots, but that's the only one I can see that's actively growing roots. That is the largest new growth. So obviously the new roots come when the growths are well on their way to being mature, which means I've got time to wait until late winter, early spring. Then it can get repotted, because this bit's been in its pot a while and it's got lots of algae in the pot, and that doesn't do the root system much good. It needs to go in a pot inside a black pot to stop that happening. Right, next one is a plant that's not dead. It won't die, but it's never going to be any good, and it's never going to grow very well because it's too cold. And this is my Vanda. This was put in an open basket in chunky bark, so that at least some of the roots would get hydrated, and it has sort of worked. It's lost some of the lower leaves, I think about 3, maybe 4. It doesn't look very happy, but this not happy bit on these lower leaves happened a long time ago. Since then the leaves have sort of grown a bit better, and it is actually growing. You know, this is a new leaf up the top, and inside there is the next new leaf. This is a new leaf, you know, full size roughly. So it is growing, but the chances of it blooming are very slim because it's just hardly growing at all through the winter, so it loses its energy. The roots tend to shut down, although the roots on this one do still have their tips, so they are still active. There's 2 inside the pot that have got tips on as well. But there are enough roots in the bark to actually keep it sort of hydrated now. So it's doing better since it went in this. So that's that. Now we've got one more on this top shelf. And this is my Laelia anceps. That, it recently got repotted to try and give it a chance to get a new root system down in some new media. It hasn't done it yet. It's a manky plant. It's got some really tatty old leaves, and the more recent growths are not up to full size. It's one of those, it's just not getting going. It's and this isn't a temperature thing, not with Laelia anceps. It's a cooler grower. So although it's in the Cattleya Alliance, it's a cool grower. So it should be okay temperature wise in here. It does like very bright light. We do have a spike. It's possible we may get a bloom. I doubt if we'll get 2, but we might get 1, and it probably won't last long. There's not a lot of strength in the plant at the moment. It needs to grow some roots, and this latest new growth's got no roots. So, and when we potted it up, it didn't have much going for it really. Right, so that's that shelf. I need to clear this out of the way to get the rest of the plants up here, so I'll shut down and then we'll come back when I've put all these back where they go. I'll be back. Okay, let's put that lot away, and 2 plants were given a spray, the Cattleya around the base of the pseudobulbs and the Oncidium tucked down inside the sheaths, and again on the old bulbs. That's what I'm currently using as a systemic, and it sort of works okay. This is really strange because in my screen all the writing is back to front. I hope that's not how it's actually being filmed. If it is, you'll have to hold a mirror up and read it in the mirror. But it's basically Baby Bio Houseplant Bug Killer Ultra, and it is a systemic and a contact killer, although it's not very strong. Like most things you can get nowadays, they've had the strength taken out of them. Thank you very much for that, because we're not classed as grown-ups, we're treated like children, and we're not responsible enough to have proper chemicals that actually work. Right, this is a Latoria type and it won't bloom. Latest growth over here, nice strong cane. Hang on, you can't see, can you see? Nice strong cane, nice set of 3 leaves. The bulbs tend to have 2 or 3 leaves, and it has a sheath and it has a swelling in the base of the sheath. So did all the other canes, and it's never bloomed. It's too cold. Basically this needs warmth. It's actually a hybrid crossed with a species. It's Aussie's Sweetness crossed with Tapiniense, and it won't bloom. And it's had scale in the past. I don't think it's got any now, not to any extent. There's certainly none. Oh, hang on, that leaf's got a... No, that's marks where they were, not where they are. I don't think there's any on it now. I think I've managed to sort of clear them. Might be some down in the sheaths, but nothing substantial. But it has had scale. It could be another one of those that's affected by the toxins, but then it grows nice new canes with nice shiny leaves, and then eventually they get tatty. It's, I believe, affected by too much light this time round. I thought we'll see if we'll get the thing to bloom by giving it more light. And all it's done, I think, is made the leaves go a bit patchy. So I think we may have overdone it with the light. Latoria types, generally speaking, are not highlight orchids. Tend to be steamy jungle type orchids. So that's that one. And the other one on that bit of the shelf is my only species, Zygopetalum. And this is Crinitum. Excellent root system on it, and a lovely strong new growth that I thought should have bloomed, but I think the next one will. It's been grown on from a seedling from Burnham, so it's one of their own seedlings. You can see the progression from the tiny bulb gradually up through to this one here, which is a nice big fat strong bulb with an extraordinary number of leaves and nice big leaves as well. So it's a strong plant, excellent root system, and the latest growth is marvellous. And I've just noticed it's just starting a new growth down there. It is possible that one will bloom. It's got the roots, it's got the bulbs to back it up, but as it's been grown on for a seedling, there is a point at which the plant knows it has become flowering size, and that might not be it yet. So it might need another growth followed by another one. I haven't had it long enough to tell. Next time I see Arthur, I might ask him, have any of the ones back at the nursery, if they've still got any left, actually got any spikes yet. And then, oh, the last 2 over here are my other 2 Zygopetalums. Neither of which are doing brilliantly, but they have recovered just about. Now, this one is Louisendorf. It has grown some new roots. It currently has just started a new growth. The last growth didn't get up to full size. All the older parts of the plant were lost, and the old bulb has no leaves. So the latest growth is smaller than it should be, but it has got leaves. And it now has a new growth, and it does have some roots to work with. It's not an extensive root system, but it's got some, so it can survive. And we'll see what the next growth does on it. Lovely blooms on that one. That's a replacement. Lost the last one. I've lost Zygopetalums and Miltoniopsis. Probably account collectively more deaths than the whole of the other sets of orchids put together. We've lost an awful lot of both of them. Now this is a hybrid, Zygopetalum hybrid, and it has a pale purpley bluey tinge to the blooms. It's a strange bloom on it. Now latest growth again, old part of the plant was lost, trying to recover it. The latest growth has put out a few roots in the pot. There's some older, tireder roots as well that were on the older part of the plant. They were still viable, so they've been left on, and it's grown a couple of new roots, and this latest growth hopefully will put up a new growth in the not too distant, and then that will increase the root system and possibly get a bigger bulb. I doubt if it will bloom on the next growth. I doubt if Louisendorf will bloom on the next growth either. However, the species might. The Crinitum might actually bloom. It's a nice, you know, I mean, that looks like a nice plant, you know. So we shall see how we do. So that's everything up in that corner. As I said, I wasn't actually watering today, so I've managed to rattle through them a bit quicker than perhaps I would do normally. We've got a mini update coming up. It's a little mini series that I've started. I'm not sure I will continue for any great length of time because the interest isn't there. It's like the blasts from the past. I think a lot of those depend on what they're about, whether people start watching and continue or start and bail out. The one that I've just done, the latest blast from the past, was a field trip. It didn't get many views at all. Now, it specifically said that's what it was, and obviously people were not that interested in our native orchids. So it didn't get many views at all compared with some other videos. We shall see. But we've got the little mini series that we started with my Dracula Bella, which is a seedling. I think it's the only seedling in the place, literally. I don't have seedlings normally. I have some smaller plants that are recovering, but they're not actual seedlings. This is a seedling, as in not long out of the flask. So I was filming it every 2 weeks just to show the progress. And at some point I'll deem the progress good enough that it's established itself in my environment, it's happy, it's growing, and we can repot it then and get it out of the bark, and because it's in a solid pot as well, so it will need to go in an open pot. But it's years off of blooming, probably at least 2, probably 3, maybe even 4. So it's okay in a solid pot for now because it's not going to bloom. It's not going to produce spikes that tend to come out the side and the bottom. So it can stay where it is, but I don't know what it's in. I don't like leaving plants too long in whatever they were given to me in. I like to put my stuff in there, and I know how fresh it is, what's in there, and we get to look at the roots. But not yet, not in the middle of winter. So that mini series is due another update tomorrow. So that will probably be a very short tomorrow's video. We shall see. And yeah, so that was just a look, one shelf at a time. They have been popular in the past, not always, but the way my orchids are arranged, some shelves have only got one orchid type on. There's a Masdevallia shelf down there, that's all that's on it. There's 2 Sologonione shelves. There's a Miltoniopsis shelf, although they're not all on it. There's one behind me, the rest are over there. Then there's a mixed shelf, there's Derek's plants. I keep getting requests, how are Derek's plants doing? They're all going to get repotted, you know, come the early spring. That's when we'll have a good look at them. There's only 5 left, and 1 or 2 of those are not doing very well. They were no good when I got them. They were struggling badly, and they'd been neglected and left to go downhill badly, and they were all small youngish plants, so that's been hard work. Then the shelf below that is Odonts and 1 Paphiopedilum that happens to be in bloom. It's the only reason it's over there, so that I can see it. And then we've got Cymbidiums, top shelf and bottom shelf, and 2 geraniums, and my Hibiki that looks a right mess at the moment because it's doing autumn. Then the shelves we've just looked at are mixed. This top shelf here is mixed. The shelf below that is Masdevallias and Draculas and 1 Miltoniopsis and my Sarcogylus, and then below that is Paphiopedilums. So, and then obviously the mounts are mostly Dendrobiums and Oncidium types. So that's what we've got lurking around the place. So I'll get these back and I'll leave it at that for today. And strangely enough, the video that I did yesterday was nothing to do with orchids. It was a bit techie. It was about kit and, you know, software and things going wrong and stuff like that. And I actually even put in the title, nobody's going to be interested in this. Got twice as many views as the blast from the past. You are a strange lot, you viewers. What you find interesting sometimes is beyond me. And what I think you might be really interested in, you're not necessarily. So I just put the variety up there. You get to choose what you like, what you watch, and that's how YouTube works. So thanks for those who did watch the strange video yesterday. Quite a few people mentioned that they got to the end. I had to watch it back. I nearly didn't get to the end. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget the old thumbs up and all that sort of stuff. And if you've not subscribed, as usual, it would be nice if you did so. It all helps the channel grow. But the important thing for the channel to grow is new subscribers coming in, and comments and thumbs up and watching the videos. That retention thing that YouTube's so big on at the moment. It'll change his mind. 6 months or a year, it'll be big on something else, I expect. But thanks for dropping by. See you next time.